morning and happy Thursday, guys. Only one more day to the weekend. It's Thursday, March 15th, 2018. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of hillSTORY Marketing. And this is the Daily Mix TV. So it does look like fans have lost interest in the most interesting man in the world. The iconic campaign, which many refer to as one of the best ad pushes of the 21st century, is being pulled by Dos Equis. Things have just not been the same for the brew brand since they replaced the original pitchman, Jonathan Goldsmith, for younger French actor Augustin Legrand in 2016 after a decade of absolute sales success, given the most interesting man in the world. Now, a new campaign is debuting today by Droga 5. It's called Keep It Interesante. The new campaign retains some of its predecessor's details, including the same music. Now, much like the most interesting man in the world, the new campaign seeks to replicate the kind of tall tales people might tell during a long night of drinking. But the problem for the brand is they didn't want to be locked into one character. Now, as you may recall, originally when the most interesting man in the world came out, some of it was about the tall tales that people tell on a night out. The rest of it was about that one character, that one guy or one girl who always has just had some of the most interesting things happen to them. There's one in every group. We all know it. The focus, though, on the tall tale side of it sort of stuck with the brand team. And remember, they had transitioned off of their prior agency, which created the most interesting man in the world. And I'll get into that in 1 second. The new campaign claims that Dos Equis is, quote, the beer Abraham Lincoln kept under his hat, and, quote, the only beer with the cojones to serve at the Battle of Cinco de Mayo. There are several pitches in the spots, with another suggesting that with a telescope, quote, you can still see the six-pack Mexico's astronauts left on the moon.
Did you know that a little embellishment makes every story Interesante? And did you know that on a clear night, with a good telescope, you can still see the six-pack Mexico's astronauts left on the moon?
Yep, still there.
Dos Equis, keep it Interesante.
Now, several more ads will be rolled out throughout the year, including some that support the brand's sponsorship of the college football playoff. I'm actually glad to see the most interesting man get sidelined. You can't keep rehashing campaigns because, like TV shows, you're going to ruin the equity of that character or of that campaign, which, quite frankly, in 10 years, you could bring back as a nostalgia push. Now, everyone on Madison Avenue saw the writing on the wall on this one, as Droga 5 was chosen as AOR for Dos Equis after Havas Worldwide was dropped by the brand last summer. So as to whether this new execution is going to work or not, only time will tell, but my gut tells me this is just not differentiated enough of a departure from the prior campaign for it to maximize sales. Remember, I said they had stated that millennials just were turning off. And I don't think that the way that they've evolved this or introduced a new campaign, it just has too many of the same sort of key points in their messaging and in the way that they've done the creative for it to be enough of a departure to really get millennials to buy in. So, as I said, I have a feeling this just is not going to work, and I have a feeling it's going to go flat. Looks like Geoffrey the Giraffe is no more after all. Early this morning, Toys R Us filed court documents stating they will close or sell all 735 of their U.S. doors. Now, that's potentially putting 31,000 Americans out of work. But right now, a lot of folks are asking, how did this happen? We were all Toys R Us kids, and they're referring to this campaign.
I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less, you really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys, oh boy,
I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
I Want to Be a Toys R Us Kid drove scores of Generation X kids to visit Geoffrey's Playhouse. Now, with the rise of Walmart and other big box mass players in the 90s, Toys R Us's profit margins began to shrink. Then came Amazon to put the final nail in the coffin. Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in September in the hopes of shedding its debt to reinvest in its stores. Now, sadly, that strategy failed, leading to where we are today. So, what's possibly next for the iconic brand? Well, one option is they could go the sharper image route of being strictly a licensing and e-commerce play, meaning that you can see Toys R Us private label branded products in alternative distribution and in some of those big box retailers that basically spell the demise of Toys R Us. Or you can strictly see it be an e-commerce play or a mix of the two, where you would go to toysrus.com and buy toys and they'd be shipped directly to your home, those kinds of things. It's exactly what happened to Sharper Image back in the early 2000s when they decided to close all of their doors, and they were bought by a private equity company, which then put a little money behind product dev and licensing. So I hope Toys R Us sticks around. I was a Toys R Us kid. It was one of my favorite campaigns of all time, so it's sad and certainly bittersweet to see them go. They say these things happen in threes, but for the canine population in this country, I hope they're wrong. United Airlines once again stepped in the proverbial pile of poo as one of its workers sent a dog to Japan instead of its intended destination, Kansas. No, I'm actually not kidding. I'm dead serious. So here's the deal. On the heels of an already contentious issue with respect to the death of the 10-month-old puppy, the airline swapped dogs by accident, sending a German Shepherd to Japan instead of the Great Dane that was supposed to make the trip to the Far East. Now, when the owner went to find their dog at baggage, they were surprised to say the least. I mean, German Shepherds are big dogs, but Great Danes, hello. Now, United has arranged to have the dog sent back to Kansas from Japan, but industry analysts and animal advocates alike are starting to ask if there is a way that United can repair its image and stop accidents like this from happening. As a matter of fact, yesterday, PETA came out against the airline, stating that essentially they don't know what they're doing and it's absolute amateur hour, especially given that the majority of airline-related animal deaths in the United States over the last several years have been at United. The doubt in the sector is real, folks. United has just had way too many mistakes happen lately with respect to the care of animals and their lack of appropriate training protocols to prevent situations like this from continuing to dominate the news cycle. Here's the problem I really have with this. Make one mistake, okay, I get it, fine. But when you just have multiple mistakes over the course of 6 months or 12 months, that should tell you really need to change your training protocols and your programming. So we'll see what happens with United. I have a feeling that this is just the beginning of a significant change for the airline. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of hillSTORY Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Friday.